Hello there, and welcome to what is effectively a little bit of a theory of mine. It's a question. Which doesn't make any sense when you really analyze it, and this is a breakdown of perhaps maybe the reason behind it isn't what we thought. Right, so the theory is basically the Borg would attack Earth. We know this. The Battle of Sector 001, the Enterprise E turns up, manages to exploit a weakness in the cube, and the cube ejects this sphere 600 meters across. So it's basically the sort of same dimensions as a Galaxy class, a little smaller, but basically it's about the size of a Galaxy class starship in diameter. And it goes back in time, creating a chronometric vortex. It then pops out, opens fire in the late 21st century, in 2063. It opens fire on a small missile silo in Montana, the United States, North American continent, and then is quickly dispatched by the Enterprise. There are many problems with this. It's problematic. Now, first questions. Right? The theory in this video is why the Borg really went back in time. Now, the Borg are out to improve themselves. That doesn't just mean assimilating a species for the sake of assimilating it. We know from the Kazon, they won't necessarily assimilate a race that they consider physiologically, intellectually, and technologically inferior. If you subscribe to the theory, as I do and some others do, that the Borg are farming the galaxy, going back in time to assimilate a borderline pre-warp human civilization does not serve the Borg collective's goals. They don't need bodies, they need technology to improve themselves. Yes, assimilating the human race will improve them, but it will not improve them as much if they don't assimilate the humans of the 24th century. So going back in time and assimilating Earth in the past to destroy its future makes no sense. None at all from what the Borg, we understand of the Borg's goals. Now, of course, it's possible the Borg's goals are a little different than how we understand them. It's possible they perceive a threat from humanity that they felt they needed to deal with. But if that was the way they were always something they were planning to do, they could have traveled back in time in the Delta Quadrant and then traveled to Earth in normal space then. Basically, time travel is fickle and dangerous, and by altering humanity's destiny, they alter their own. Otherwise, they could simply go, well, we'll make ourselves stronger, we'll travel back in time and allow our drones from now to become part of the drones in the past. But obviously you've got the Q and others that might stop them from doing that. So there are a lot of complications here as to what exactly their real tactics were. But allow me to present an alternative theory. First of all, let's start this theory with the piss-poor attempt the sphere was making to destroy the outpost. A single photon torpedo should have been enough to take out that entire settlement, kill everyone there, and probably obliterate several square miles of forest. One torpedo, without a problem, could do that. You're talking about a weapon that has greater destructive potential than a nuclear device if it really wanted to. And that's one's built by Starfleet, not one's built by the Borg. Instead, they fire this green shit at the planet, which explodes like a fairly big grenade. That's the best they could manage? I don't think so. The Borg are stronger than that. Why didn't they beam some drones down there to assimilate everybody? They were able to deal with the Enterprise, so why that? It's possible the sphere was damaged, maybe, you say. Maybe it used all of its power, creating the temporal vortex. Its weapons were ineffectual. What it was firing was a massively down-powered version of its weapon. But their transporter still worked. There's a lot of questions. So allow me to present a different theory. We know the Borg of the 24th century knew that there were Borg present at the first contact event. This was stated by Seven of Nine, who said it was a long story, but there were Borg present at the first contact. That means when the Borg made the interplexing beacon out of the Enterprise's deflector dish, it either worked, or 100-ish years later, when the Borg drones were reactivated and assimilated the Arctic Explorer and its crew and went off into deep space and had their run into the NX-01, and they were trying to send a transmission that did reach the Delta Quadrant, most likely, although the transmission would have been probably degraded and took 200 years to get there, it would have meant that the Borg of the 24th century knew about those events. So either way you cut it, the Borg knew that Borg were there, and they knew why, because the Borg, those drones will have included all the information. So, maybe The reason the Borg went back in time was to fulfill a paradox. They needed to be there. They knew when the attack on Earth had taken place, they knew it was unsuccessful. They knew that the sphere would go back in time. They knew they couldn't really alter humanity's destiny because that would affect them. So opening fire and doing the little bit of pits and full damage they did meant nothing because they already knew that had happened. They could have leveled that outpost, but they didn't. They allowed it to survive. So this was a predestination paradox. They were meant to go back, and they knew they were meant to go back. Whether they assimilate the Enterprise or not was irrelevant. They had no intention of assimilating Earth in that time period. They were always intending to go back to the future. Like, how did the Enterprise even get back? It's like maybe the Borg modified it. They were always intending to return to their own time period. They weren't intending to stay there. They knew they had to be there because it was a predestination paradox. As I said, 7 of 9 stated that there were drones there. There was contact, most likely, from those drones either in the 21st or 22nd centuries that would have led the Borg to believe that it was necessary for them to go back in time, but not actually try to assimilate Earth of the past. So, that's my basic theory, because the actual events don't make any sense. The criteria of the Borg going back in time, where they did it, why they did it, was it plan B? Was it always the intention to do that? Why would they want to assimilate a pre-warp civilization when they've got humanity right there? They may have lost, but they could have sent 100 cubes if they really had a mind to. They didn't have to just send one. The Borg farmed the galaxy, allegedly, so it doesn't make any sense for them to simply want to assimilate such a primitive civilization. Really does it. As I said, that's just my personal theory. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Were the Borg genuinely interested in just assimilating humanity for the sake of assimilating humanity? Were there other factors at play here, like the assimilation of the Elorians, their knowledge of the Q continuum as a result of it, the Elorians' ability to sense changes in the timeline? All these things could culminate together in the Borg being quite sensitive about time travel and aware that even though it meant sacrificing a cube, sacrificing a queen, they needed to be there. Because those events took place. Earth would have a downed Borg cube. And there's a whole secondary theory about humanity recovering parts of that cube and it being controlled by Section 31, and it's actually why they were so much more advanced than the rest of Starfleet, but that's its own theory. But the Borg basically needed to be there whether they wanted to or not. But sacrificing a single cube, sacrificing all those drones, sacrificing a queen, didn't matter. Had to happen. They knew it had to happen for whatever the ramifications or consequences of those events were. Messing with time was perhaps something a bit beyond what they wanted to do. Let me know in the comment section below whether you agree or disagree and have your own theory. If you made it all to the video, I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, and subscribe, and bye-bye.